This is your climbing area?
Oh, lucked out the first time. Okay.
Oh, look at these.
Oh.
Do you eat almonds?
No.
I do.
He loves peanuts.
Well, peanuts are a little bit different. Well, the peanuts are actually similar because they have the hard shell on the outside and the soft shell on the inside.
Here's a nutshell.
Well, here's the whole one too. This is actually what's called an almond hull. This is on the outside, the very outside when they take the almond off the tree. This covers up the almond. When you see them on the trees, this is what's there. Inside you have a hard shell. And then if you crack the hard shell, inside is actually the almond meat. And there's an almond right there.
Fresh almond. I'll take it.
Wow.
That is actually, it hasn't been cooked and it's the same.
Yeah, I was going to say it's unroasted, huh?
It's actually just dry off the tree.
Well, I'm going to try it.
And then salted.
The hard part, they're actually sweet straight off the tree.
Very good.
The hard part actually is not the best for cows to eat. They can digest it because in small amounts. The small part is actually really good fiber, and this has a lot of sweet to it too. So we'll feed it, and this is a way that we help recycle by feeding the byproducts that would otherwise go into landfill or be burned. The hard parts are actually, we actually end up using that for bedding. We'll buy it separate and use it for bedding, which we is another way that we recycle. Okay, this is a mineral mix that we feed the cows, and it's the same thing. Do you take your vitamins every day?
Yep.
It's the same thing. We just feed the cows vitamins and minerals. This big piece of equipment is just like a kitchen mixer that your mom would have. If you use a KitchenAid mixer or a hand mixer to mix cakes, it's the same thing. It has a big screw in the middle that actually mixes all the feed up, and it has knives in it to cut the hay up and everything.
So how many people do you have working the farm?
There's 3 milkers, and then there's like 3 or 4 of us in the family. This is actually what they call dried distiller's grain. Do you have any idea what dried distiller's grain would come from?
That's why
Wheat, yeah.
What's a distillery?
Hops?
The leftovers after a brewer is done
Brewery,
with the wheat.
barley, anything. So it'll come from anybody who's distilling anything after they've done the distillery or brewing process. This is what is left, and a lot of times it's corn, and they just, for the ease of transportation, they dry it down and then we feed it. So it's like the germplasm and everything that's left over from the corn.
Cheese on macaroni.
Like a big cheese packet.
Only I think a lot of times it should be corn. It's just, they dry it down and it gets real powdery. And you can see a lot of times you can see the germplasm and stuff left in it.
Wow.
And it has a grainy brewery kind of smell to it. So it's another sweet.
Matthew.
Another sweet
So
sauce.
good. Yeah. Okay. Put your finger on it.
And then this is just mixed storage, different other things. There's actually a yeast in there that we feed the cows, and salt and things like that. Other things that go into a bicarb, which is actually just baking soda that we feed the cows to keep them from getting essentially heartburn. That's basically it. We call it acidic or acidosis. So there's different things in there for that. This is the oldest barn that we have on the dairy, and you can see there's some design differences. This is the first one built. The one we were just in was the second, and then this other one is the third. We actually have done some comfort design differences. You see the rubber mats the cows stand on are not integrated into the concrete. They're second afterthought. The loops and the freestalls, the room, they're actually a lot smaller than the new ones. And then the stanchions are a different style stanchion. There's not as much room for them to pull their heads out.
There's a big friendly.
So we've done some modifications as time's gone by. This pipe you see across the top is actually a sprinkler system we use to cool the cows in the summertime. And it goes on and off depending on the temperature, and that's what we use to keep the cows cool.
Pet a cow.
No, it's okay.
Can I pet your cow?
He's our budding veterinarian. He talks to all animals.
When we come back by, we'll see if one is locker stanchions and we'll try, okay? Okay. That big pile there is all compost and bedding. It's actually been taken out of the, put it in windrows to dry it, and it's been dried over the summertime, and now he's pushed it all up in a pile to go through the winter with. The pile at the bottom is actually waste feed, and what we'll do with that is that'll end up going out into, it's waste feed and what we take out of our sand trap, and it mainly has more rocks in it than anything else, so it will go out to the fields.
I've always wanted to ask, how do cow magnets work?
The cow magnets work, what it does is any metal that the cow may ingest will stay on the magnet, and what happens, if it stays on the magnet tends to stay stationary, but if it's small and not attached to the magnet, it can pierce through the stomach lining and end up causing damage. So what happens is, if she ingests any metal, it stays there and it stays in one spot. And
But it'll always stay in.
It'll always stay in there, and there's one stomach that's actually called the hardware stomach, and I used to know which stomachs were which, and I can't remember which one it is right now. Because the cow actually has 4 different compartments to her stomach, and there's one that is the abomasum, I think, is the real stomach, which is similar to humans. The rumen is just a big fermentation vat, and there's the omasum, and then the reticulum, and one of those two is the hardware stomach, and I don't remember which one is. This barn is actually the same dimensions as the barn you just looked at. That barn we could put 270 cows in. This barn will hold 300. Oh. Just a few different design things that we did, and gave us the ability to put that many more cows in per for the square footage that barn was there. And then everything, you know, as you can see, everything's flushed every day. This one you can see the integrated rubber. When they poured the concrete, they grooved it to put the rubber down into it, which is doesn't stick up over the top, and the cows can walk across that, and it keeps them from getting, or it keeps the wear and tear on their feet way down compared to what they would have walking on concrete.
Walks down there.
And how many head did you say you had?
The dairy can hold over 600, and we're milking right about 400 right now.
There's a pond down there.
Yes, there's 4 ponds right here. What is the water you actually see there is actually the runoff off the silage. It looks kind of gross, but it's actually really similar to corn mash. Essentially, that's what it is corn mash, because the silage has been chopped up and it's been packed in there tight, and the water oozes out, and that is corn mash. So if you were to distill that, that would be high-end
liqueur.
Liqueur.
Party at Raylin's house.